There you are. Hey,
Are.
cool background.
Oh, thank you. This is my logo, my angel logo. You like her?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
This is just my office.
Well, I'm glad we're sharing space together, and now we're sharing space on Facebook Live.
Oh,
On
nice. Hi, everybody. We finally made it. We made it back.
Yeah, isn't it wonderful how technology just keeps us on our toes constantly? The
Yes.
fact is, you just have to let that go too, right, Mike?
Yeah, I think so, and that's what we're here for today. It was funny when I saw that you guys posted about the Let It Go chat today. I posted and then I put let and then a little parentheses the S go tonight with us. And yeah, tonight's a good night for it. And I've actually, again, I'm pretty grateful for these conversations because it pushes me a little bit, not harder, but it pushes me a little more gentle into my spiritual practice, which I've done a lot of work on letting go here in the last couple of weeks and a lot more concentration on it today. So it's always good for us doing our prep, our show prep for everybody. And
That's
I already forgot all of it. So I had to let that go as well.
That's great. Yeah, I know, you and I talk often about whenever we do choose a subject, it seems like, those are the things that we're faced with the most challenges. I guess it's to give us content
Yeah.
to have this wonderful discussion. So I am Kathy Lamm. I am the marketing director here at Edgar Casey's ARE, and this is Mike Powers, the wonderful radio personality guru.
No, no, nobody's guru, but I'm just trying to get by like everybody else. And thanks for having me. And this is exciting. And a happy belated birthday to Edgar Casey, 90 years old,
That's right.
young.
Actually, he's
He's
144. He
104, but
just
the
turned 144. But the
144,
ARE
the ARE
is
is 90.
90 this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we are celebrating that all year long as well. So,
I'm sure Edgar
um,
Casey would be happy me shaving some years off of
I'm
the
sure he would.
144.
I'm sure he would. So, yeah. So tonight, I think that we just need to kind of let go of any kind of agenda that we had, and maybe just talk about what it looks like to let go. And I was thinking about letting go, and what is that? What does that look like? And what are the aspects of that?
Mm.
And it just seemed to come to me that there are just so many things right now, so many things that we need to let go of that are just not serving our soul's purpose, our greatest good, the highest good for one another. And so, how do you feel about that, Mike?
There's a couple of different ways that we can go with this topic tonight. Of course, we can take it hang up by hang up. What doesn't serve us anymore? What can we put on our top three things to let go of list? Or we can think bigger picture overall and surrendering and to letting go of control would be a good way to put it. I was thinking about as I'm doing my reading, there's a German theologian, Meister Eckhart, and he talked about letting go in the spiritual sense that it's more about subtraction than it is about adding. And in our culture, we very much are constantly adding to to make us happy, and we need another car, we need another home, we need, and as you know, somebody has two homes. Once you add more things, there becomes more to take care of. And whether we realize it or not, whether we're really grounded in our spiritual practice and in our beliefs, we are getting pulled away just simply by how we're brought up and how we're socialized and how we're raised and the kind of society that we live in. And we're so far into, it's like it's hard to just give it all up right now. So you really do, that's where you have to really pick that list, that short list, and slowly but surely let go and pull yourself closer and closer to something greater, to the divine, to the God within, to the kingdom within.
Mhm. Yeah, when I was growing up, my mother used to have this mirror on the wall, and it had the serenity prayer on it. And I've always loved that prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I may, and the wisdom to know the difference. And and what does that even say to us? Is really it's about bringing us into the present moment, right?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
things where we get stuck and we're not able to let go of certain things is when we spend time in the past or we spend time in the present and just fighting the resistance of the things that you're not able to release or focusing on the things that you're trying to grasp.
Yeah, yeah, and I think when we have a solid practice, and we're meditating for 20 minutes a day, or we're meditating for 2 hours a day, whatever it is, when you start to feel really grounded, you can easily start to fall back into the pull of getting lost in things. You know, just the more of like for me right now, 2020 has been an interesting year because it is granted it's granted a lot of us as much heartache, but it's granted us a lot of freedoms. And I'm somebody that thrives when I'm given a little more freedom as opposed to being told what to do or how to do it. So I ran with that, and then with that comes things, successes, more relationships, more responsibilities. And there is only so many hours in a day, so many days in a week, and so much that you can do. And eventually you have to surrender to the idea that you can control all of it. And that's the time, I think, where you take a step back and you start to not so much evaluate the things in your life, or it's not about getting rid of the things in your life, but just allowing it all to be there and unfold how it's going to unfold, because it's going to happen whether or not you have these things in place anyway. We're not going to lose. I don't want to, I need my house. I have a family. I have, all of these really big responsibilities. They're all lovely. They're all things that we're going through, but it's up to us to surrender to it and let it all just fall into place and not try to squeeze it all into one day. We've talked about it. I think it was a few weeks ago. I forget exactly what the topic was, but I know the big discussion was hovering around never getting through your checklist. And if you think for a second you're going to cross everything off your checklist, you're crazy. It's never going to happen. You're always, as you take something off, you're adding something on. So, I guess from this point on, it's like manage the things that you have instead of keep adding and adding and adding. It's a
Right.
long-winded answer, but it's
Yeah.
just where my head's at today. It's, again, we're letting go and letting it all kind of fall into place.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, and I was thinking about different aspects too. If we think about, our possessions, our personal possessions, recently in a number of the consultations that I've done, really what's come across is it's time for you to let go and let go of your possessions. Sometimes we hold on to things thinking that they have sentimental value
Mm.
or that they are still serving us, but in fact, they're really not. And instead of holding on to that stuff, give it a blessing. Think about all of the stuff that it's done to serve you, and then give it away, take it to
Yeah.
Goodwill, give it away, give it to someone else that it will then serve. And if it is at its end point of life, just be grateful for what
Yeah.
it did to serve you and and send it on to make a landfill somewhere. So
Yeah, it really is all a part of your journey. All of these things we collect, and all our experiences as well. um I have a funny story. I think it's like a month ago now. I was driving to Alexandria for a gig. I play in a band as well, and I was driving there for a duo gig with my buddy Jeffrey, who I play with, and we were just kind of joking around, talking about things. I said, it's really difficult waking up in the morning, going through my clothes that I barely wear anymore because there's no events to go to. I like being in a t-shirt and jeans and relaxing. I said, I'm going to buy 7 or 8 white t-shirts, okay? And I'm going to see if anybody notices, and I'm going to start wearing them every single day. It's almost a test for letting go. Can I really let go of certain clothes and certain things that I've grown accustomed to wearing? And oh, I look good in this color and this color. And it's a small thing, but these little small wins will lead you to letting go of the bigger things. So right now I'm on just about the 1 month anniversary of white t-shirt. And just to give myself a little bit of fun, I got V-necks and I got regular necks and then bigger scoop necks. I don't know what you call them, but the more comfortable white t-shirt. And now I think I'm at the point of, well, I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff because I obviously can wake up every day, I have no problem slapping on a white t-shirt, jeans, and whatever sneakers, and moving on with the day. And these are little tiny wins in the overall big game.
Right. And I mean, what you probably realized in this exercise was that maybe you had associated yourself to a certain style, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
that was your identity. And now releasing that and allowing that to no longer be a part of your identity is a big shift, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny how many people don't even really notice. There's like two or three people noticed, and then I had to start telling people because it's like, "Hey guys, you got this really cool experiment I'm going through right now." And then after a while, even those people don't even realize it anymore. So, like I said, it's a silly thing. It's a fun thing, but I like to try to make these heavy subjects sometimes a little bit lighter. And this is one that I thought it was a good example, and I didn't even think about it because it is in a way letting go. Because when you wake up in the morning, right? And I wake up pretty early, 3:30 in the morning to do my radio show on the point. Um, and I'm going through a variety of t-shirts, fun shirts, Alan Watts shirt, Ram Dass shirt, I don't know, whatever I have in there. And I'm going, at the end of the day, has anyone really gone like, what a great shirt? Nobody gives a shit. So you just go like, why do I? So there'll be times where, yeah, maybe I'll throw on a collar. I got date night tonight. There's an anniversary. There's a birthday, but it's been quite nice. And I mix it up with a sweat jacket, different color sweat jacket. So there's
Yeah,
ways, there's definitely ways to do it. And it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of discipline. And if people think that it's just going to happen, it's not just going to happen. You have to put in the work,
that's right.
even with your white
So,
t-shirts.
I do think that I have mentioned or commented about your Ram Dass shirt before, your Ram Dass t-shirt. So
You
see,
have, you have.
somebody notices.
Well, people from the ARE and the spiritual community would, but other people think it's like, oh, what metal band is that you have on your shirt?
That's
this is this is just Ram Dass in India with Maharaji meditating. Who's Maharaji? Well, we'll get into it another time. But thanks for the compliment.
That's great. So, maybe we should just take it a little bit deeper and let's
Sure.
talk about some relationship issues, and letting go. And maybe one of the things is letting go of always being right,
Mm.
or letting go of your story. Everybody has their story, their side of the story, their perception of how events happened. Maybe letting go of that would serve us better in our highest good as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I thought I was getting deep before the white t-shirt thing, by the way. God, yeah. I mean, I try to lighten things up and try to use these smaller things as an example. But yeah, we are very much attached to our personal history. And when there comes a point in time where your personal history is actually it becomes a hindrance, because again, like, there are things that you can't do that you did yesterday that you can't do today, and then there are things that you couldn't do yesterday and with experience and time that you can do today. So we should gravitate towards those things a little bit more, all the positives and the things that move us forward, as opposed
Mhm,
to we keep clinging to you know it's never the good person we were yesterday. We focus on everything we did that was wrong,
mhm,
and we continue to beat ourselves up. But we're not saying you're not going to let go of that completely. You could definitely ease it up a little bit, and you could be a little bit easier on yourself, and start to take those things when you feel yourself going to that point, taking a breath, getting silent for a second, and realizing who you are, where you are now, and those things were just parts of your life that were perfectly placed there to bring you right here.
mhm. I think what you're talking about too is, being gentle with yourself and
Mm.
forgiving yourself. And and that forgiveness could be the forgiveness of others too. But that leads me into wanting to share a slide from Edgar Casey. So
The
let
birthday boy.
let's do that as well. So here is a reading from Edgar Casey, and he was asked the question, how can I overcome antagonistic forces in self and in others? Because don't we have it? Don't we have it a lot in self
Hmm.
for that matter? And so his answer was by actual manifesting forgiveness more and more. Not saying that you forgive, because a lot of people say, oh, I forgive myself, I forgive other people, but actually manifesting the forgiveness. And, meaning to forget the weaknesses that you find either in self or others, and give strength to those who falter, even yourself. Give strength to yourself and compassion, and forgive as you would be forgiven. And then this overcomes the antagonism and the antagonistic influences, because the thoughts that we create are definitely the currents upon which the wings of experience must pass, right? I love that phrase. I think
That's
that's great.
great. That is great.
Yeah. And then as these are made in positive context as well as contacts, um, the antagonism is overcome and love is manifest. And that's something that you said too. You said that, and maybe not on this one, but you have said this, is that truly love, moving into a space of love, is where we need to be to let go.
Yeah, coming from up here out of our head space and into our heart space, and listening to our body. What's it, what's it really telling us? Because we know our subconscious is going to win a lot of the time, and that's why we meditate. That's why we take the time to get silent and practice. I wrote down a lot of stuff because every time I get a Edgar Casey reading, my heart starts to go in a different direction. And uh and I was thinking about how we treat ourselves. We all are very, very hard on ourselves, but we think about our best friend. And I heard this from a Buddhist teacher. I was at a retreat, and I don't quite remember again what time and where and when. That was in our past life before 2020. um, but it was the idea that, like, you treat yourself like you would your best friend. When your best friend comes to you and says something to you that you don't quite agree with, that maybe you wouldn't do, maybe you think it's terrible, it's cowardly, it's dastardly, it's miserable, it's all those things, but it's your best friend in the world, and you're accepting and you're listening and you're comforting and you're caring and you're holding them, and not just in a space, but possibly in your arms, and you're thinking about, what can I do to elevate this person, because I know this person is better than the situation that they put themselves in. But now shift that to a stranger, then we're shit talking. And I know, I'm sorry, it's two bad words in this one thing, but then that's where our head goes. It automatically, it goes to a place where it becomes a circus of judgment and ideas that this isn't a good person. Then all of a sudden we go from being in a gray area, a spiritual area, to making things black and white, and there's good and there's bad, and if this person's bad, then I must be good. And then what's the difference between your best friend, who you're listening to and you're taking care of, than the complete stranger? And now I'll shift it all the way back to ourselves. Why wouldn't we treat ourselves like we would our best friend? And I think that's the big thing. We're so judgmental, and then we even, there are times we're even lying to ourselves,
Mhm.
because we're so caught in this idea, like, we know intuitively, especially that, with the readings we do and the practices and your job, and, like, we know inside what's right, what's wrong. And there are times that we're still feeling a little bit wrong, but we even lie to ourselves and we say, no, I'm okay. I'm just going to keep pushing forward. I'm going to keep pushing forward. and these little things start to grow. And if it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, happy or sad, it will grow. And that's what I believe Edgar Casey was talking about. How what are we going to manifest? Are we going to manifest forgiveness for ourselves, or are we going to manifest more anger and hatred and judgment towards ourselves? I would go with
Right.
forgiveness.
Yeah, and he also has said repeatedly through many, many readings that thoughts are things. What you think, you make manifest. So whatever you're thinking about, you're bringing into your own reality. So if you have lower vibration emotions, anger, contentment, um, judgment, all of those lower vibration thought patterns, what are you calling towards yourself? You're calling all of that energy towards yourself and making yourself unhappy, as well as the people around you, because you're now manifesting also what you see. So you're
Mhm.
manifesting that energy out into others.
And you don't
So,
even have to speak it. That's the other thing too. People always feel like, well, they're just being quiet. No, you're putting the vibration out there. It has nothing to do with what you speak. Often it's kind of like love. You could say you love somebody, but are you really showing them that you love them? Is it a part of your vibration, your energy, your action? Words are words, thoughts are thoughts, emotion, feeling, energy. That's what's real.
right, you're right. So people always say to me, they say, well, how do I stop myself from doing that? If I'm really down in this rut and I'm feeling this way, how do I stop it? And what I say to them is, your thoughts are not outside of you. You have 100% control over your thoughts. So it's like a battery, let's just shift the poles. Let's shift the negative and the positive. So you take that negative attribute and you think, what is the positive of this?
Hmm.
What is the positive of anger? It's love, it's joy, right? So
Yes.
then you force yourself to stop thinking about anger and what is making you angry, and you think about something that brings you joy. And you force yourself to smile and you raise your own frequency in your own vibration by letting it go. So you let go of that negative energy.
Yeah, and I think you also have to know your limits as a person as well as a human being. We're still human beings, having a spiritual experience, and we want it to be a spiritual experience all the time. But unfortunately, it cannot be, and that's not all of our faults. That's years and years and years of generations passed on to us, and we're all just trying to figure out a way to live in the everyday and balance out both things. And I think another problem is it's there is an instant gratification for it. And it's not like it happens even when you have a spiritual awakening or have many spiritual awakenings over a lifetime. People go, oh my god, I had this spiritual awakening, now it's all going to be okay. But you will come back the other way, and that's where the work kicks in, because we do, as a society, as the just the way of the world right now, we want it all, and we want it now, and we want it fast. And it doesn't work that way at all. As quick as this life is, we have a limited time in this particular body, but you have a lifetime and an infinity to keep working on it and keep getting better. So, don't there's no rush, but let's enjoy this thing while let's enjoy this precious human birth while we have it. And don't we cannot expect it all the time. And that's something I really worry about, generations that are behind us. I think about my kids, and I think about their kids, and so on and so forth, and just where we are right now as a society. And it's very hard to cultivate patience, which was our last conscious conversation. But it's just
Mhm.
something to keep there, keep on in the back of your head, that we can't have it all the time right away.
Right, right. Yeah. And I think that just being gentle with ourselves, being gentle with others, releasing judgment, taking the pause, taking the
Yeah.
breath, letting go of the outcome or the expectation.
So big. I mean, especially with letting go, is letting go of control, that you have control of any of it.
That's right.
um, you can do everything. You could cross all the T's and dot all the I's, it doesn't mean that it's all going to work out in your favor. You could be the most talented person in the class, the best looking in the class. You could be all those things, and still it may not work out the
Right.
way you want it. It's going to work out, but not exactly the way you want it. But then again, what does?
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, just releasing that and letting go. And then the other thing that I always tell people is fake it till you make it. You know,
I love that.
you fake it, and then all of a sudden your vibration starts to change on its own and it's lifted by itself. So you just keep faking that smile, put
That's
it on, and pull that energy in.
that's my favorite thing. Like Kathy has all these amazing gifts, and she still says, "Fake it till you make it." So it's okay for us all to, just BS our way through this thing every once in a while, because you don't want to make it too heavy
That's
all the
right.
time. It's this is a playful thing.
Right.
Again, it's not perfect. It's not easy all the time, but you could be playful with some of these things, and kind of delight in the craziness of it all every once in a while, and laugh at it, because you think about it, once you're out of it, and you will be out of it, you will get out of that muck, and you will let go of these certain things, and then you will be laughing about it. So why wait? Just
Right.
laugh about it in the moment. I
Right.
say that, but who knows what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes.
That's right. Well, and I lost my train of thought because I instantly went to the bee that was in the room when I first got here, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have to deal with that before I deal with getting online. So I mean, even that expectation to be able to come in and get started right away, things were outside of my control, and you just take it at the moment, and everything changes. Everything changes. But
Yeah.
I remember my thought now. Let me go back to it.
Oh, go ahead, please.
So we would not be here if we did not have lessons to learn, if we didn't have trials to go through, to overcome, and to thrive, and to learn, and to grow. We would not be here. It is the purpose and the point of incarnation.
Mm.
I mean, otherwise, there is no reason for our soul to come here and exist.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you get to that point, that means you're a realized being, and congrats, nirvana. So, you're there. So,
Right.
and I don't know a lot of people that are ready for nirvana, but that could happen again at any time. And the other thing I was thinking about too, when it comes to letting go, and the decision to let go of certain things, we have to ask ourselves, are these particular things that we're doing pulling us closer to God, whatever you want to call it? I say God, but whatever you want to call it. And or are they pulling us further away? Are they serving what, like, what's this for? Is it for ego? Is this to build up my ego and keep me amped for today? Because that's for a limited time only. There's a very small window for that to manifest and become something, and then it vanishes. Or is this something that's going to get me to that place that I really want to be? Not I won't be there all the time. I'm convinced of that. Who knows? But I'd like to sit in that space a little more often. So I think from this point forward, instead of of course, let go if you can. But instead, if you're having trouble with that, maybe stop adding on. It kind of brings me full circle back to the Meister Eckhart quote from the beginning: is spiritual life being more about subtraction than it is adding. But if it's hard for you to subtract, maybe just stay on the path until you can actually start to subtract some things. Stop adding more stuff. We don't need it. We don't need any more
Right.
stuff. Trust
Right. Absolutely. More stuff, more belongings, more
me.
things to do, more responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's at some point it does get too much, and it does pull you further away from your source. It pulls you further away from the connection of love and divine energy.
Can I ask you two a question? Mr. Powers in the back. um, even with relationship, and we think about family. We have just in the world we live in today, we're all so separated, even as a family. You know, we think about third world countries, most families, they all live together and sit in the same spaces and with a lot less than us, not even close to what we have, a percentage of what we have. And they seem almost as happy as people here. So, with that being said, you know, with our real close relationships, and the amount of things that we have on our plate with work and life and relationship and kids and places to go, and um, how would you explain this to the people closest to us, and not necessarily saying like we have to let go of things like that, but how do you explain that I can't, there's not a clone of me or you or anybody, and you do need to take that time for yourself.
Right. Well, that's the other thing too is that most of us are givers and we want to make people happy. We want to please. So we will often give to the point of hurting our own selves, to our own detriment,
Yeah.
giving away our own energy. And it does get to the point where it's like, I cannot give anymore. And the greatest act of self love is setting boundaries and saying, this is what I need for myself to energize myself, to recharge so that I'm able to give to you and to others. If you're perceived as an extrovert because you're out on the radio and you do a lot of live stuff and
But
you're that point person. However, I know you well enough to know that you're an introvert because the way that you recharge your batteries is to go inward, is to seek that solitude inward, and that's how you gain most of your strength. It's not from the outward expression that you're getting that energy. So just being aware that of what you need as an individual.
yeah, when you
And
talk,
then
oh, sorry, go ahead.
that's okay. And then having loving relationships and open communication to understand that about one another.
Yeah, that's very well said, and no, and thank you for that because these are all questions you know we all have. Even yeah, I think about every spiritual teacher that I've ever seen, had, read, anything else. There's nothing better to me than the vulnerability of a spiritual teacher when they come out and they're almost asking, well, what would you do? What should I do? What, because everybody runs into that. And when it comes to, you said something about like giving, and we're all by nature, once you strip all the stuff away, we're all givers and we want to give, but we got to be careful not to fall into the trap of becoming the giver, in the sense of not giving because that's what you're feeling at that point and it's your nature, um, but giving because it's almost like an occupation. Like I have to do this because this is me. This is what I do, and you're not really giving in that sense. You're just playing the role of giver, and that's a real tough one. Like that, I don't really have the answer to that. That is a tough one for all of us to work with because it is hard, because every time we ignore a phone call or we put our phone away or we take time for ourselves, there's that bit of guilt, and that's us going, man, I must really need the time because we're so afraid of closing our hearts to people. That's where I'm trying to get at. We're very afraid of closing off our hearts because if we've been there before, we're afraid to go back there, and we think that's what's going to take us there. So it's such a tough one. It really is. But we'll work with
You
it.
can't
We'll work
you
with it.
can't pour water from an empty pitcher. So you do
Mm,
have to
yeah.
give back to yourself and fill yourself up, or put yourself in situations where you do get the energy back, um, and that's knowing yourself. And again, once again, it's going back to self, and that's where the work needs to start.
Yeah, yeah, and I know we're probably running short on time, but this has been a really great conversation. I'm very grateful, very thankful for it. Um, this whole year, we've heard the phrase "new normal, new normal, new normal," and it's kind of driving me crazy for a little while because this was just, it was just what was going on. This is today, this is the thing. We're wearing masks, we're in quarantine, we're coming out of quarantine, we're getting back into what everybody says is normal life. But really, is it any more normal than it was yesterday or 10 years ago? Because I think every single year and every generation, everybody has their thing. But when it comes to letting go, why don't we just look at that as our personal new normal, instead of gravitating towards the things that don't serve us anymore, or giving energy to past mistakes or hangups or things that we're ashamed of. Let's make our new normal the things that we're actually thriving at, and giving those the energy, and start to move ourselves forward, and keep that, in a sense, we're moving ourselves forward, but also keeping ourselves very grounded and very present with our new normal. If we make it a personal thing, as opposed to, well, it's a new normal that we go out and we see each other and we do. No, it's about you inside. How do you feel inside? Is this make that your normal feeling every day? And if you can get there, I always look at the radio. I was like, can I be good 3 out of 5 days today? This week, and if I make it to 5 straight days and it's awesome, very cool. And that's the thing. If you're good to yourself and you make that your new normal 5 out of 7 days, you're in good shape. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like that challenge. I like
Yeah,
that
we should
challenge.
make it a challenge. That's the thing everybody
Yeah,
does now
we should
too. We'll
make
put
it
it on
a challenge.
TikTok. Let's go
That's
viral.
right.
Ah!
We should make it a challenge.
Oh my God! It's the Mike Powers and Kathy Lamb New Normal Challenge. Ah!
That's right.
Hang on, I got to work on the hashtag.
I love it. I love it. Well, Mike, this has been a great conversation. I always enjoy
Awesome.
spending time with you and talking about different subjects that do raise our consciousness, that bring us into awareness and have us living good conscious lives. So I so appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. And it's always wonderful to talk this stuff out, because I would talk this out personally with friends, but I figure, why not do it on a Zoom to people
That's
all over
right.
the world?
That's right.
That's all this is, right?
That's absolutely right. So, well, thank you, and thank you to everybody who tuned in and commented, and Mike and I will look over those later on and
Absolutely.
reply to the comments as well. And we're grateful for you too.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And have a wonderful week. And just let go of something small this week. Just pick something and work with it. Just work with it. And if you can't do it this week, it'll happen. It's just keep it there. All right.
That's
Peace and love.
all right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.